Well, welcome to Night School. This is Latanya Washing, your host, and I am, as always, super duper excited to be here this afternoon with my friend Linda Jones Edwards. She is the founder of Eat, Pray, and Shop. And today we are going to be talking to you all in regards to building relations building relationships with your clients, as well as with your customers, because we already know we're in a day and time now where you are now, as a small business, as an entrepreneur, you are able to compete with the big wigs. But in
Mhm.
order to compete, you still need to know what it is that you need to do to build those relationships. And
Mhm.
so we're going to talk about that this afternoon. I am super duper excited to have Linda with me. We're going to try to stay within this 30 minutes, Linda, but you know how we roll, how we roll. I even got my party. I got my party pack with me on this afternoon, but we are going to talk about it. Linda, I just love my music. I'm here to tell you. But welcome to Night School, Miss Linda Jones. Mrs. Linda Jones Edwards. How are you?
I'm
First and foremost.
fantastic. Thank you for having me here. I love your show and I love to be a part of something positive. So thank you for having me.
And I am so glad you are here because we always get the chance to have a great conversation. And
Yes.
I'm excited to see people that are here. Hey, McKenna, I see you over here in the chat room. Good to see you. McKenna knows a lot about this here topic as well, building those relationships with your clientele
Wonderful.
and with your customers. Because as I said earlier, Linda, it is so necessary because so many people, and I love speaking to the entrepreneurs, so many businesses now are able to compete with the bigger companies
Mhm.
because people, us, we're now looking for more intimacy, more personal relationships. And
Mhm.
so we want to talk to the people today about how do we build those relationships. And then for those, and do not let me forget, because a lot of times we falter, we
Mhm.
mess up in building those relationships. And I want to talk about too, if we fall, if we mess up, how do we get back into those good graces? So, first of all, Linda, share a little bit about your women's network.
Well, thank you for having me here again. I am Linda Jones Edwards, the mom boss. Eat, Pray, Shop is a women entrepreneur foundation. It was built on helping women go to the next level. It's conversations like this, platforms like this that we partner with, that we actually share the good news of if we do mess up. And how do we connect to one another? How do we build? So, Eat, Pray, Shop is a building block to help you reach your next level in your success of your business.
That's it. And I just love the network. It's simply amazing. It is for the woman to be able to excel and to connect with one another and learn so much just
Absolutely.
being within the network. And it is so necessary. And so, Linda, let's get right into this topic of discussion because you
Okay.
already know we can be here for an hour
We
just
can.
talking about just talking about it. So let's talk about building relationships with our customers or with our clientele. Share a little bit light on it for us this afternoon. Um, your side, your take in regards to it. How do we build?
I want to say this, and Miss Washington is me and her talk, and we have a honest relationship. And I think one of the things that I've learned is this: in business, there's no emotion in business. Business is business. I think sometimes as women of color, we get personal. I was just driving here before we came on the air, and I had an event one time at a. I used a person's business that looked like me, and I
Yes,
was having an event for kids who looked like my kids,
yes,
and it was so crazy because the person who came, I paid the money, but yet and still that was their venue. So they felt it was okay to come in there and eat the food. They felt it was okay to come in there and drink the juice. They thought it was
Right.
coming okay to come in there and inspect the building. Well, this is the thing. Once you rent out a place, it's not your home. It's a business opportunity. If
Right.
something happens, that's why you have insurance. If
Right.
something happens, that's why you go to your insurance agent and say, "Hey, I have to replace this and that." That's why you charge the fees you do. But you
Right.
cannot be connected emotionally to a building. You
Hmm.
cannot be connected emotionally to chicken, right? Because when I want my chicken sandwiches, I don't want it with a side of attitude. I
Uh,
just want it. I just want it the way you presented it
right.
on the screen. And I
Right.
think a lot of times that we miss that. We're so, because we work so hard to build
Yeah.
it, we don't know how to let it go, and
Right.
that's when we lose that business element and growing, because we it becomes a baby instead of a vision to for the world to share. If that makes any
Right.
sense.
Yeah, it does make sense because a lot of times, as you're saying, we allow our emotions to get involved. And when we're building and we're building relationships with other people, we can't take things personally. But it's
Correct.
our job, basically, it is our job to do the best that we are able to do within within our might. And if we
Yes.
don't know what to do, we always find somebody else to help us out in that process. Because you know what I always tell people, Linda, and then I want you to talk about this as well. I tell people, as you're building relationships, we have to put ourselves in those people's shoes. So
Mm-hmm.
I always keep it in my mind. My mindset is always think like a customer, think
Correct.
like a client. What would
Yes.
they want? As you said, I don't want my chicken and attitude. Now we got a problem. So
Yes.
so so shed a little bit of light on that when we talk about thinking like a customer in the form of building those relationships.
I'm so happy you said that, because
Yeah.
let me tell you why. As a person, I tell this to my family, and this is our family motto. This just doesn't start because of the conversation. This has been years and years of a model that I've developed, and now my husband's a really a big part of it. And one
Right.
thing we say, as because we are consumers, because see, we have a product, but then when we go outside of our business, we are now consumers, right? And when
That's
I go to consume or go to purchase or go to buy or go to click to get someone else's products, what I'm thinking is, I want what they offered. I want
yeah,
what you wrote. I want what you said you're going to
yeah,
do for me,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then if you can't, if by any means something falters along the way, I want you to be honest and direct and say,
Right.
I sincerely apologize for the delay of this order. It's going to be a month longer than I expected. Yes, the customer is mad, but guess what? The customer knows that you're making good on your thing. And even
Right.
if you said, even if you can't refund the entire money, say on your next purchase you get 50% off. Because
Right.
guess what?
That's right.
When you lose one customer, you really lost 10. Because
Mm,
what happens to us, and especially as people, women, we talk. And we say, don't order from so and so because last time I did that, she didn't, and she didn't even make good, and she didn't give me nothing for free. She didn't even apologize, right? And
is
so, as a consumer, you want to make sure that if you were in your shoes, how would you present to yourself? How would you speak to yourself? How would you, if I offended myself, I would say, you know
right.
what, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I apologize for the error. Let me make it up to you by doing this, and I'll give you a bonus or a freebie moving
Right.
forward. Just to
Right.
make sure that I am being the good customer. And not only that, I'm being a good client, because I know this, Latanya, once you have a great customer service
Yeah.
and once you give people, deliver that excellence to people, they tell other people. They tell other people. But when you mess up, they tell everybody.
Is the mic on? Is the mic on? I mean, and you're right. They tell people talk.
Yes,
Um, and the crazy part about it is they will tell the bad before. A lot of times they'll tell the bad before they tell the good. I
yes,
always tell people too, and I'm glad you brought that up. See, this is great conversation because we are helping folk tonight. And if you're watching on this afternoon, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you at, feel free, please like and share this conversation because it is so necessary for people to see this. And two, even as you're talking about that, Linda, um, understanding that people are human. People
Yes,
are dealing with stuff. People are you don't know what folk are dealing with at the time. And
correct.
another thing I always tell people, we always have a tendency, and let's talk about this. We have
Yes.
a tendency because I love my social media. I see McKenna, she loves social media. We are like social media personnel.
Yeah.
But one thing that I notice a lot of times people go after the new customers. We're trying to generate new customers and we forget the old customers. So let's talk a little bit about that because we still want to be able to nurture those people that we are already connected to. And a lot of times we forget about them and we're going after new. So let's talk about that just a little bit. How do we nurture even the old clientele?
This is a thing that I say to everybody. I was talking to my daughter. She's getting ready to go to college, and I was talking to her just last night. And I said to her, I said, this is a different phase of your life. And you
Mhm.
have to think about that for the customer. See, every time we're going through a different phase, so is your customer.
Right.
And when we grow, our customers are growing. Remember,
That's
we was
right.
like, I like Belle Biv DeVoe. Now Belle Biv DeVoe may be granddaddies, right? They may have children with children, right?
That's
So
right.
we're progressing. But one of the things I want to say to everyone who's listening today, when excuse me, when this is happening, it's happening simultaneously. You're growing and so is your customer. So what you
Right.
want to do is, like you said earlier, put yourself in their shoes. Now,
That's
see that, let me tell you something. When you have a product and your product was good in your 20s and now your skin is a little more hydration, you have to up your ante. Right? You're going to
gotta
up your
do it.
product, right? And so what you're doing is you have to grow with your
That's
customer,
good.
because
That's good.
one of the things that you do not want to leave on the table is the customer who supported you when when no one knew your name. You want to leave them behind, because that is your foundational. pr- uh, That's your whole business. Your
Hello.
seasoned customer. They're the one who came and bought your stuff when no one would support you and your family wouldn't support you. Your customers, the people on social media who don't even know you from Adam, who are buying your books and buying. You want to make sure that they know that you're always in support. How do you do
That's
that? You say thank you. How
yeah.
do you do that? You send emails and send coupon cards. How do you do that? You go on there and say, I want to shout out 10 of my customers who have been on with me for years. You want to say that, because let me tell you something. I learned this in customer service when I was back in the day doing property management. And the man said, the most precious thing you ever hear is your own name. So when
Woo!
someone says, Mr. Tanya Washington, I want to thank you for shopping at my store. You've heard your own name, and now you feel like I'm privileged. I'm
That's
VIP,
right. That's
right?
real talk. That's real talk. And I'm glad you brought that up. This is how we nurture our clientele. This is how
Hmm.
we build the relationships. And we are emotional creatures, and everyone loves to hear their names. I told someone the other day, or well, a while back, I said, T-Mobile got me, and they got me in the door when I had to call in one day for something just to get some more information, and they said my name. And
Right,
we know it was a bot. Of course we know it. But it was that thing that caught my attention and said, "Oh my God." And that set them apart from the other companies. That
correct,
because everybody's in competition, but that one thing set them apart for me compared to anyone else. And I don't even think about another individual. So, like you
correct,
said, even saying their name, even sending out coupons, even sending out, I do blogs, even sending out the blogs, staying connected is
correct.
how we begin to build the relationships with our people. So what do you say in regards to, so let's talk a little bit in regards to, we talked about thinking like a customer because
Hmm.
we all are customers,
Correct.
period. And so what do you say about email? How should we build those relationships through our emails? Is that a good way to stay connected?
It is. Let me tell you, let me just say this.
Mhm.
I know we're in the midst of a pandemic, but several years ago, Nordstrom's, being the company that it is, we've all been there and we've all bought our lipstick and our makeup and everything from there. One of the times I lived in Woodland Hills and I went to go buy a lip liner.
Yeah.
And I'm not really big on makeup, but I do love my lipstick, as you see, right? And
Right.
so what I did was I went to the counter and I actually was looking for a new pencil liner. And
Yeah.
the lady said to me, she was not African American, she was Caucasian. She said, I said, I need a pencil. What kind should I buy? And she was like, and we're in Nordstrom. She kind of took it back at me. And I'm like, And I said, well, what does that mean? She goes, every black girl has chestnut pencil. I will never forget this
Oh,
at all.
wow.
And I stepped back and I said, wait a minute, I'm looking around like, where am I at? Because I know when I'm in Nordstrom's, I get great customer service.
Right.
I purchased my makeup from her. I called Nordstrom's on the phone and I said, I was insulted, I was belittled, and I said
Wow.
that was just plain out racism. Nordstrom's was apologetic. They gave
Yeah.
me some
Yeah.
freebies. They sent me some stuff in the mail. That will never happen again. And I've gone to that store several times. That has
Right.
never happened again. So I
Again.
know there. So what you're saying is, so what I'm saying to you is this: you have to be on top of your people who
Yeah.
help your people,
Right.
right? So if
That's
you
right.
are a party of
That's
two
good.
and you are busy doing your stuff, because let me tell you, it happened to me one time. A lady said, I want to help you. I said, what can you do for me? She said, let me just send out your stuff and help you on your post. And so I let her for like maybe a month or so.
Right.
And
Right.
I noticed when my post went out, my engagement went down. And so I started
Mm.
sitting there reading the post as a
Okay.
customer. Now it
Okay.
was coming from my camp. And so I started reading. And so I
Right.
called my faithful few. I called about
Right.
5 women and I said to them, when you read this post, how does it make you feel? Because
Yeah.
I didn't write it. They said, we know. We know.
They
And I
know.
said, I have someone helping me. And when I read it, I was a little kind of like, that was kind of harsh. And then
Mm.
when the other ladies read it, they were like, this couldn't be Linda because that's not how she speaks to us. And so, when you have to be very careful who's in your camp. You
Right.
have to be, if you're tired, if you're lethargic, I had to get glasses because I had typos in my stuff sometimes. And I was like, oh my God, I have to get me some because I'm seeing, and I'm doing it at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
You have to stop and
Right.
say, my clients deserve more.
Right.
They support me. I have to give them 100% of who I am. And so
Yeah.
what I did was I create my post, I put my thoughts, and I save it into the morning so
Yeah.
I can go back and say, okay, let me read this again before I send it out to the world.
Before you send it out to the
You know
world.
what I'm saying? Because my thought is on paper. Now I can just correct it in the morning. And
Yeah.
so I do that. But when you have people in your camp
Yeah.
and it's not you, and they are helping you with emails and things like that, you make sure that you proofread that thing.
Yeah.
You make sure that you're in a space to see what they said. And if it's not the way you project
Yeah.
on that email, you will not get responses. So you
Mm-mm.
make sure you check it out and make sure what they wrote is from your heart, not from
Right.
their paper, from their desk.
Right. And that I'm glad, and that's good. That's good. That, don't see just the party machine. That's the party machine. That's the party machine. But I'm glad you brought that up as well because every company, every person, whether you are a personal brand, we all have a culture.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
when you have a team, that team has to understand the culture of your organization. Just like you
Yes.
said, if you're making posts, you know what? Now this person comes in and their posts are not so
Cold.
nice. It's
Hmm.
cold knowing that you have a warm heart. And so your people automatically understood this is not Linda. And
Hmm.
so, you know what? It's twofold. That's a good thing. I like so that makes it people understand you are a warm person. You are a sweet individual. When it comes to you and the experience that you have with your clientele and your consumers, you're going to give your best. But other people
Yes.
may not understand it, and so that's another thing that a lot of times people don't understand what
Hmm.
the customer experience, customer service, or the customer success is all about. And it is a journey. And that's why I
Yes.
love talking about this because it is a customer journey from the beginning. Once they connect with you, they connect with your brand all the way to the end. And
Yes.
then it repeats itself. And it all
Yes.
boils down to you really, really studying who you are connecting to and staying connected. And this is how we build our relationships. So now,
Yes.
Linda, let's talk about when people fall, mess up, because we
Hmm.
all have messed
I
up
have done that many
when it
times.
comes to the experience.
Yes.
I know McKenna, McKenna's over here talking. People, we all have messed up. So how
Yes.
do we get back into the good graces of those people that we messed up with, our clients or our consumers? Because at the end of the day, we still want to build the relationships, and we still want to be able to stay connected, not only with our old clientele, even as we're building, as we're growing. So, what can people do that may have messed up? And sometimes people don't even realize they have. But I tell you, if your numbers start going down, that's when you know something ain't right. But go right
You
on
know
ahead.
what? You know, have y'all heard that tape about Kirk Franklin and his son recently?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so you know what he did right away? He did damage control. He
Damage
went on
control.
he took him and his wife.
Yeah,
He did a piece by himself,
yeah,
and then he did a piece with his wife.
yeah.
And I don't think he should have apologized because it was a personal conversation between him and his son that we should have
Mhm.
never ever heard, right?
Should never heard.
But when someone tries to come and defame you, this is what happens, right?
Yeah,
So listen to this. When someone tries, when you do it, when you mess up,
yeah.
first thing you have to do is you have to own it. Because people can't heal when you don't acknowledge that I messed up. When
That's
you don't
right.
acknowledge that the order was late, or the email didn't come out, or the Zoom link wasn't attached, or
It was a
however this
typo.
whole the typos, when you don't own it, people can
Right.
say, well, she's arrogant and
Yeah,
she doesn't care about how we
yeah.
feel. I have wordsmith on my thing, and they hit me up all the time. And I say to them, I said, at first I was like, wait a minute, they're checking me, but it's the culture.
It's
We
the
are there
culture.
to check and balance each other. They want the best out of me, and I gotta give them the best. I require the best out of them. They require the best out of me. It's a culture. It's a check and balance system. So what
Check.
happens when you mess up? When
Yeah,
you, the CEO, falter, when you stumble and hit your knee,
yeah.
first of all, you get up. You get up and say, wait a minute, I made a mistake, I blunder, and you own it. And you
And you,
simply apologize quick. That's even in the Bible. You
yeah,
repent quickly, right? When
right,
you go to a customer, you make a personal phone call and say,
right.
Mr. Washington, I apologize sincerely about your order. I'll be adding some goodies to it in the
Right.
future. This should never happen, but sometimes companies mess up, and you own your mistake. It lets the
That's it.
customer know that you are acknowledging your error. And
That's it.
even in relationship that we build as women and men, when a person says, "Okay, I didn't, I messed up," it's so easy to forgive them. But when they
Yeah.
deny that they even messed up, that's when we got a problem.
We got Houston. Houston.
Houston,
Houston. I got to turn the mic on.
yeah,
Houston, we have a problem.
we have a
And the crazy
problem.
part about that, is, Linda, is we know you messed up because it's in the tone of your voice.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
and you begin to find yourself elevating even when you're speaking. No, that wasn't me. I didn't do that. Opposed to saying, I am so sorry. I messed up. What is it that I can do for you? Let me send you this. Let me send you
Yes,
that,
yes,
because we all have experienced trauma, we experience drama, all of these things. And so it is those companies that will acknowledge the problem. Whether
yes,
you are an entrepreneur, I'm glad everyone's here. Whether you're an entrepreneur, you are a small business owner,
right.
whatever it is, as she said, owning it. And it's okay to apologize. One thing that I found out a lot of people have a problem with is saying, I'm sorry. And
Yes.
it is the pride and the ego
Mm-hmm.
that messes us up. It is the mind space that will keep us back from
Yes.
from apologizing. Those two words, I'm sorry. And so
Yes.
we have to begin as business owners, as entrepreneurs, understanding the fact we are now in a season where you now have the ability to compete with the big companies,
Yes.
because people now, we are some smart folk,
Yes,
and
we are.
people now are looking for that personal touch. They want
Yes.
people to be able to connect to, that really, really can feel their pain, because everybody's competing. Everybody's in an industry now where there is competition. So let's talk a little bit about that, Linda, before we leave out on this afternoon. Hey, Dree, let's talk a little bit about that, because everybody has a competitor. Even when we do SWOT analysis, I know, tell people doing SWOT analysis, I make my students do SWOT analysis a whole lot. I make them do.
Yeah.
But we all have competitors. So what is that one thing, Linda, that you would say to our people that you will put you on the edge, put you a little bit higher than your competitors. When we're talking about building relationships, you all, with your clientele and your consumer, your customers, what would you say?
I just talked about this on my live this morning. It's so funny that you asked me this because this is what I realize. Even though you are a competitor, I don't uh I guess how did this sound? Even though like Coca-Cola and Pepsi are competitors, right? So you have like Mountain Dew, you got all these flavors on one brand, you got all the others, and they are competitors of each other. But one thing they realize is that we are the same but different.
But
And I
different.
think it's the same thing for me and you. I
Hmm.
think there's a bunch of women who do what I do with different names, and
Right.
I don't see them as competition.
Uh-huh.
Even though we compete for the same people, they're not my competition.
Uh-huh.
Why? Because I am my greatest competition.
Hmm.
And what I do is
Mm.
I
Great.
acknowledge them in their beauty. I
Yes.
acknowledge them in their thing. Because see, Pepsi and Coke don't have no fight like the
They ain't
people in the
fighting.
street. They ain't fighting. Because what they're doing is they're saying to each other, hey, Latanya, you come on at 12. I come on at 12. You come on at 12:30. How about we do a duo and
Right.
smash it? We got a
And
whole hour
smash.
of us just
Hmm.
speaking to each other. And what they did was they pitted against, they made America think they didn't like each other. But in
Mm.
all, like 50 Cent and Kanye West said, if change the style up, flip the money, and watch the money pile up. If we stop looking at each other as we are so afraid of you succeeding because we're
Hmm.
probably going to be left behind. If you
Right.
look at me as a partner,
Hmm.
a partner in crime, even if someone looked at me and says, let's link up, like you just said, let's link
Yeah.
up and go arm
Yeah.
in arm and take it to the hill and teach on customer service,
Right.
I am here to support that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And guess what? I'm still not going to lose no money because I'm
Mm-mm.
helping you. I'm not going to lose anything. If anything, we create more exposure for each
Right.
other, right?
That's right.
And then when you show solidarity and sisterhood and you work together, and women of color and men of color, when you show solidarity, people want to be on your team.
Yeah.
But when we show strife and we show all of these negative images, they think they can't even work together, right?
Mm.
It's only the mind of a person to say, I'm going to use them as bait. I'm going to use them
Mm.
as help. I'm going to let them help me grow rich, thinking grow
Hmm.
rich. I want to
Hmm.
partner with them and I want to get my thing together.
Right.
Because sometimes you realize in your business, you don't even have it all,
Mm.
right? It was
Don't have
Coca
it
Cola.
all.
It was a medicinal purpose for the drink, Coca Cola. But
Right.
they said if you put some sugar with it, we could drink it because it was actually medicine. And then Pepsi said, oh, wait a minute. I put a little this in it. We can drink it and get some bubbles out of it.
Right.
And look, they have the same bottles, but one has a color that's different. They're both red, white, and the Pepsi said, I'm gonna go Americana on and put blue on it,
And
right?
did that.
And they did it because they ran neck and neck. And so if we
Right.
stop looking at each other as problematic and start looking and saying, wait, her subs are good and my subs is good. Her sales run on Tuesday and Wednesday, mine run on Friday and Saturday. Support us both and
Right.
stop trying to beat each other down. We can grow that way because I'm telling you, this kind of, like you said, Miss Latanya, the way that we are now, we can compete with the big boys.
Right.
But we got to get
Right.
emotion out the way. We have to get
Right.
envy and jealousy out the way. We have to
Right.
stop thinking so small minded and go
Yeah.
up with the big boys and say, hey, let me let this work for me, right? Let's work
That's it.
together and get this money. Let's do it.
Right.
They don't
Right.
gonna know.
They're not going to know. And that's what's happening with a lot of small companies now,
Yes,
or entrepreneurs. They're beginning to come together, and those
yes,
are the ones that are realizing that I cannot do this alone. If I am
no,
going to compete with the big boys, I have to come together with my own other small businesses, other
peers.
entrepreneurs,
Hmm.
because we do not know everything. And when
Correct.
we are able to do that, that gives us a leverage. On top of that, it provides more creativity. Y'all,
Yes,
we are so talking about how to build relationships with our consumers and with our clientele through connecting, through vulnerability, showing
yes,
the human side of who we are, and
yes.
thinking like a customer every time. I am forever. I am forever. See, they go that phone. See, that's hello, testing, testing.
That was
I
my
am
alarm. I
forever.
apologize, y'all.
That's all right. But everything I do, I now do with thinking like I am the consumer. and
Yes.
that and that for everyone that is listening on this, when we begin to think like that, we're able to develop more content. When we're
Yes.
putting stuff out there on our platforms, we're able to really connect, because now we are relatable, and people want to know that you are relatable, and that is the key. And so this is so good. But Linda, I want you to give us your final thoughts on this afternoon, because this is some good stuff. This is medicine that we have to absorb in order for us to build, in order for us to grow as companies, as entrepreneurs. Give us your final words to our people. I am so glad to see you guys over here in the chat, but give us your final words on this afternoon, as we before we even step out into doing what we love doing.
Let me tell everybody again, I'm so happy to talk about this because this is what we need to grow. This
Yeah.
is actually the medicine that we put against our hearts and we change our thought process. It's all about perspective, you guys.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you see a problem, it'll be a problem. If you see potential, there'll be more potential.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, I think one of the things I said earlier is this, and I'm really big on this one.
Yeah.
When you take emotion out of a chicken sandwich,
Mm,
it becomes business.
mm,
If you stop serving your business with attitude, if you
mm.
stop serving business with so much emotion, we know you worked hard. We know you didn't have it. We know it was hard to get it. But what I'm saying to you is when you release it, let it be so.
That's it.
Don't hold it. Don't give me and take it back and then tell me what it took to make this chicken sandwich. I
Mm.
need y'all to understand. We get it. When I
We,
go to Chick-fil-A, they say my pleasure.
my
My,
pleasure.
they say my pleasure.
The
And it has to
distinction.
be your pleasure serving your clients. And even when they're difficult, it is still your pleasure.
Woo! Okay, see, I'm trying to turn the mic back on. Everything is my pleasure. Now,
It's
see,
my pleasure.
that's a takeaway right here. My pleasure,
It's
and
my
it is that,
pleasure.
and it is that very distinction, honestly, that'll keep me going back to Chick-fil-A opposed to Popeyes, and
You
that's
better
real
know
talk.
it.
Because
Hmm.
everybody loves a chicken sandwich, I guess, and we love our chicken, but those little things.
Yes.
And so we I just Linda, I just wanted people to be mindful that we can grow, but we cannot grow if we do not have clients. We cannot
Correct.
grow if we don't have customers. We cannot grow. So it is up to us to continue to build where we are and to continue to grow. But in our growth, remember to keep the customer, keep the client
First.
in mind, put ourselves in their shoes, because we are
Yes.
all human. And
Yes.
so, thank you so much for sharing this afternoon. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us this afternoon. Always remember, we are here. We are connecting. We
Yes.
are growing. We are building on the inside so we can be better for everyone that we serve on the
Absolutely.
outside. And so, once
Absolutely.
again, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Linda,
You
from
know I love me some you.
I love you, girl, from Eat, Pray, and Shop Women's Network. Always follow up. Linda, where can people find Eat, Pray, and Shop?
They can find me on Instagram at Eat, Pray, and Shop. It's actually Women's Network Eat, Pray, and Shop. They can find me on Facebook at Eat, Pray, and Shop. Everything is, and then my actual name, Linda Jones. You can
Yeah.
find me actually on Facebook as well. And again, I'm here to support Miss Latanya. It's not even about me today. It's about her. And I'm just here to, like I said, I want to say this in closing.
Mm,
I'm another resource to her.
yeah.
when you
Yeah.
when you look at it like that, I'm just a resource to her. So whatever she don't have, I'm gonna come and give it to her,
That's
and whatever
right.
I don't have, I'm gonna find somebody to give it. So now three people got the same resource.
That's
So
right.
just know that we're here to support you. And like I said, I'm on IG, Facebook, Linda Jones, Eat Pray Shop. That's it.
Say that's it. And y'all, we are excited about your future. We are excited to see what you have in store for the people who you serve within your industry. Go
Absolutely.
out, do your thing. If you got to pull back and evaluate what it is that you need to do to connect to your prior clients that you may not have spoken to in a minute, sit back and write them an email, send them a message, pick up the phone and say, hey, how are you doing? Set up a schedule to do those things because a lot
Hmm.
of times, Linda, and I'm going to say this and then I'm done. When people stay in front of my face, that reminds me that wow, they're still there and oh, I need this product again. But
Hmm.
when we people purchase or they purchase a program or they purchase a product and we don't see you anymore, it makes me forget. And so remember, everyone, your customers are the same way. If they don't see you, if they don't hear from you, if you don't connect, people forget all about you. And it's not that, once again, you can't take it personal.
Mm-mm.
As you said, it's business. So,
It's
once
just
again, you
business.
guys, thank you so much for joining us here on Night School. We will see you again next Monday night. We are here live and in living color. It is Latanya Washington. I love the party machine. Thank you once again, Linda, for being with me this afternoon. And we'll see you guys again next week on Night.